Hey guys, welcome back to Auto Dream Tech Tips, and today we're going to be talking about the most important tool of your build, the micrometer. So it's pretty important to have a good set of micrometers. It's also important to know how to work them. You can easily get a false reading if you don't know how, and you can basically screw up a clearance in your motor. These things will pretty much measure just about every clearance in your engine. Your typical setup will be a 0 to 1 micrometer, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. The 3 to 4 is typically just used for your piston. It's very important to have. I'll show you why in a bit. And you're also going to need a mic stand. This will be your best friend. This here is a Mitutoyo Quantum Mic micrometer. This unit costs around $600 Canadian. Is it really required? No, not really. You can use your older style vernier micrometers. They'll work just fine, as long as it's a good brand. I just like to have these for peace of mind. I go through a lot of volume and I'm just that guy. So the first thing you're going to want to check when you're using your mics is temperature. You're not going to want this mic to be too cold or too hot. Just room temperature is fine. And also you're going to check, you're basically going to calibrate it or do a quick check. You got a true 1 inch right here, and you got a true 2 inch. Now this is a 1 to 2 inch micrometer. So after you've made sure these surfaces are clean, you're going to put it in there, mic it out, and you're going to make sure it zeroes out. So there's your perfect 1 inch right there. Then you're going to take your 2 inch and do the same thing. There you go. There's your perfect 2 inch, and you're good to go. So we're ready to take our first measurement. It's room temperature in here. The crank pin is at room temperature. It's clean. The anvils on the mic is room temperature and they're clean. So we're going to drop it in and get our first measurement. As you're dropping this in, it's easy to scratch the pin, so just be careful. You're going to use the ratchet. I like to wiggle the mic side to side, make sure there's no air or space between the two anvils. Use the ratchet. Pull it out. Here's your first measurement. This first number here will be a 1 because it's a 1 to 2 inch mic. So 1.88845. You can pretty much ignore that last number because that represents 1/2 of 1/10,000th of an inch. This mic is just crazy accurate, and like I said, you don't really need something like this. And that's that. Where's that valve I had? So like I was saying, your mic stand is a good friend of yours. It's going to hold your mic for you. It's going to make measuring stuff a whole lot easier. Also, an important thing is if you clamp this end of the micrometer too hard, it can actually distort it, change your measurement, and this stand actually makes sure you don't do that. It's very easy to use, and you can take good measurements without screwing things up. So the reason why you need a piston micrometer for your build is you're going to want to measure every piston you have. Now they're not going to measure perfectly the same because that's just mass production error. There's nothing wrong with that. But your machine shop is going to final hone your bores to actual piston size. Now every piston has a gauge point to where you measure it. This one here is 1/2 inch down from the bottom of the piston skirt. So I went ahead and marked that up on there. I've set up my mic stand where the piston will sit where I need. I'm going to go ahead and mic that. So this one 3.40255, and on my Piston spec sheet is 3.4025. Now there's only 4 digits after the decimal here, so we're going to ignore that last number. That's not too important. So we're dead on spec here and we're good to go. So this is a ball type micrometer. It's a 0 to 1 inch, and we use it to measure bearing shell thickness. It's very important to do. Bearing shells are mass produced and you can have some inconsistency which will change your bearing clearance. We're going to go ahead and put that in our mic stand. So once that's in there, you're going to take your bearing shell. I'm using a used one just for the video, and you're going to measure your thickness on the ends, over here, in the middle, and you're just going to make sure that shell is consistent. If it is not, throw it away, open up a new box and use another one. So basically your checklist would be make sure everything is clean, so the micrometer, the anvils, the setting standard and your part, and make sure everything is at room temperature as well. You can have a spare micrometer if you want. It's recommended if you're doing a lot of builds. If not, that's okay. Just make sure you have a good mic. And yeah, hopefully you've learned how to use a micrometer. If there's any other topics you want us to cover, please let us know. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.